Few women from ancient history have captured the modern imagination quite like Cleopatra. Celebrated for her intelligence and beauty, Cleopatra is often remembered with sorrow for her tragic and untimely demise. But was she truly as remarkable as she seems, or did she have a darker side that history often overlooks? Could Cleopatra have been one of the earliest master manipulators? Today, let's find out the creepy things Cleopatra did. The goddess Isis reincarnated. The legend of Cleopatra's beauty remains as captivating today as it was during her lifetime. This myth was further amplified in modern times when the incredibly beautiful and graceful Elizabeth Taylor portrayed Cleopatra in the iconic film. While it's true that Cleopatra captivated powerful leaders like Caesar and Antony, contemporary historians such as Plutarch were not particularly impressed by her physical appearance. In his book, Life of Antony, published in 75 AD, he wrote, "Her actual beauty was not so remarkable that none could be compared with her, or that no one could see her without being struck by it, but the contact of her presence was irresistible. The character that attended all she said or did was something bewitching." Clearly, Cleopatra's allure stemmed more from her intelligence and charisma than her looks. A student of mathematics, medicine, alchemy, economics, history, geography, and other subjects, Cleopatra could speak 9 languages and adeptly steer conversations. Her wit and humor complemented her somewhat attractive features, making her truly irresistible. Her image as an irresistible seductress greatly benefited her political career, and she ensured she lived up to the expectations of those around her. To maintain her looks, Cleopatra was willing to go to great lengths, knowing her power relied not just on her political connections but also on her image as the reincarnation of the Egyptian goddess Isis. Unlike her brothers, Cleopatra was an effective administrator, which bolstered her popularity and divine status. In the real-world PR game, Cleopatra understood the importance of maintaining her goddess-like image, and her appearance played a crucial role. An expert in alchemy, the precursor to modern chemistry, Cleopatra had her own perfume factory by the Dead Sea near En-Gedi. She believed her fragrances had mind-controlling powers and used them to her advantage. When it came to skincare, Cleopatra spared no effort. Despite her preference for older, powerful men, she was quite fearful of aging. Without modern options like Botox and plastic surgery in 1st century BC, Egypt, Cleopatra still enjoyed the privileges of being a queen. Like many historical queens, Cleopatra had elaborate beauty routines that ordinary people could only dream of. In fact, Cleopatra's favorite spa treatment was something even most modern American billionaires would find challenging to indulge in, let alone do every morning. According to legend, Cleopatra's bath was filled with the milk of 700 lactating donkeys. While the number of donkeys might seem exaggerated, bathing in donkey milk wasn't as strange as it sounds. In ancient times, donkey milk was highly valued as an anti-aging remedy worldwide. Isis, originally an obscure goddess, became one of ancient Egypt's most important deities as the dynastic age progressed. As the alliance between the Roman Empire and the Egyptian kingdom grew stronger, Isis's influence spread widely, from England to Afghanistan. Cleopatra declaring herself the reincarnation of Isis was a strategic move to cement her authority. Although it was common for pharaohs to consider themselves divine, Cleopatra went further by declaring herself the new Isis and demanding her subjects to worship her as the goddess's embodiment on earth. She expected her subjects to kiss the ground she walked on, and this tactic worked. Ironically, Cleopatra wasn't related to the old kingdoms of Egypt. She wasn't Egyptian at all. She was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, descended from one of Alexander the Great's generals, Ptolemy I. This meant they had Greek ancestry, spoke Greek, and followed Greek customs. The Ptolemies ruled Egypt for 300 years after Alexander's death in 323 BC. Cleopatra's path to power was challenging because she was a woman. She was possibly the first Ptolemy ruler to learn and speak the Egyptian language, Coptic, along with the languages of most neighboring regions. Her portrayal as Isis was both an act of hubris and a stroke of genius, allowing her to be accepted by her subjects. Before her reign, the Ptolemies showed little interest in Egyptian culture or religion, keeping themselves confined to Alexandria. During their rule, Alexandria was like the Chinatown of ancient Egypt, but with a stronger Greek influence. However, considering oneself a goddess was considered quite audacious, even for someone like Cleopatra. Cleopatra forced to marry brother. It's well known that Egyptian pharaohs often kept their royal bloodlines closely intertwined, and although the Ptolemy dynasty wasn't particularly fond of local traditions, they embraced the idea of close familial marriages. Cleopatra was only 14 when her mother died under mysterious circumstances. With her brothers still quite young, her father, Ptolemy XII, appointed Cleopatra as his co-regent. For 4 years, Cleopatra ruled alongside her father, gaining valuable experience in governance. However, upon Ptolemy XII's death, his will created a dilemma for Cleopatra. She was instructed to marry her 10-year-old brother and share the throne with him. From the outset, Cleopatra made it clear that she had no intention of sharing power with her young husband. This was unprecedented, as female rulers in ancient Egypt were typically expected to submit to their male counterparts. Cleopatra, however, was determined to assert her authority. She removed her brother Ptolemy XII's name from official documents and ensured that only her image appeared on the coins minted during their reign. When Cleopatra supported the Syrians in a conflict against the Roman army, she angered Rome. The Romans, siding with the disgruntled young king, helped Ptolemy XIII depose his sister wife. Cleopatra's efforts to maintain her power were thwarted, forcing her to flee with her sister, Arsinoe IV. Despite their cooperation in escaping their brother, Cleopatra and Arsinoe's relationship remained strained. Cleopatra became convinced that Arsinoe was plotting against her. Meanwhile, Ptolemy XIII, still a child, struggled as pharaoh. His advisors failed to control him, and his rash decision to execute Pompey in front of Pompey's family offended even Julius Caesar, a rival of Pompey. Caesar, viewing this as an affront to Roman dignity, seized the Egyptian capital. Ptolemy XIII drowned in the Nile while attempting to flee from Caesar and Cleopatra's forces. Bound by tradition, Cleopatra was forced to marry her youngest brother, Ptolemy XIV, though their marriage was in name only. Ptolemy XIV was too young, and Cleopatra was already involved with Caesar. She later bore Caesar a son and quickly had Ptolemy XIV murdered to make her son co-regent. Caesar, however, had no intention of acknowledging the child, choosing his grandnephew Octavius as his heir instead. Cleopatra's thirst for power proved stronger than her familial bonds, as she systematically eliminated her siblings to secure her position. The bewitching queen or master manipulator. Earlier in this video, we discussed how Plutarch described Cleopatra as bewitching, and he wasn't entirely wrong. Cleopatra had an uncanny ability to make men do her bidding, almost as if she had a hypnotic command over them. However, it was mostly her keen understanding of what they desired that gave her this power. Clever and charismatic, Cleopatra won the support of Caesar and Antony by appealing to them in both seductive and inventive ways. She famously presented herself to Caesar concealed inside a carpet, while Antony first saw her dressed as the goddess of love, Aphrodite. This cunning approach allowed her to quickly gain influence over these powerful men. Cleopatra's allure was so potent that it seemed to blind these men to reason. Caesar was so infatuated that he erected a statue of her in the Roman temple of Venus Genitrix, right next to the goddess's statue. This act was scandalous and impious by Roman standards, as Romans did not deify their leaders like the Egyptians, but it didn't matter to Caesar or Cleopatra. Similarly, when Antony saw Cleopatra as Aphrodite, he abandoned his invasion plans and decided to spend the winter with her in Alexandria. Their relationship was marked by extravagant parties that rivaled any modern celebration. They even had their own secret drinking club, indulging in revelry while Rome was engulfed in civil war. There is a story that Cleopatra once ordered her servants to bring her vinegar, into which she dissolved her jewelry and then drank it, just to win a bet against Antony. That jewelry would be worth over $10 million today. Meanwhile, men in Rome and Alexandria were fighting and dying for her and Antony, as Augustus Octavius sought to eliminate any threats to his claim to Rome's throne. So, what do you think? Does Cleopatra still hold the title of the most beautiful woman in history in your eyes, despite her darker side? I hope you enjoyed our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more educational content like this. Thanks for watching.